Hello everyone, I'm back with a watch comparison video on the Android side. I have the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic and I also have the Pixel Watch 2. Now I received the Classic, the 6 Classic when I bought my Z Fold 5 and I bundled it together with trade-in for the Galaxy S22 Ultra that I had. And with the Google Watch, I actually traded in an iPhone SE3 and I got the Pixel Watch 2 for free. So they were both good deals in that sense. I probably added on a couple $100 for this one. I added on nothing for this one. It just came with the phone. Ideally, they both would have come with the phone, but you gotta pay to play, as they say, right? Now, they're both good watches. I think depending upon what you need, and it's not simply like what phone you have, although that probably is important, it's not necessary because they're both Android based. You can use either one with either phone. You do lose some functionality, I think, in terms of your Samsung watch to a Pixel phone, but you don't necessarily lose it the other way around. The build quality on both is good. The build quality for the Watch 6 Classic, however, is much sturdier. I feel like it's heavier. The stainless steel is substantial. Like it feels good on your wrist. It feels heavy. The Pixel Watch is not any slouch. I will say that it's not necessarily for someone who's going to be very rugged with their watches. I would probably put like a larger case protector if you were going to take it hiking or something like that, or you work with your hands a lot, or you work in construction or something of that nature. I probably would protect this a lot more than I would this, right? The Samsung watch. However, the aesthetics on both are nice. I think you can dress them both up, dress them down. I think with this one, you can dress it a little more rugged. This one perhaps is a little bit more genteel, right? And it's build quality. So I don't necessarily know if you can be quite as rugged with it. This phone feels like a more valuable phone in terms of cost. And you do pay a little extra for it. I have the 47-inch LTE model. This one here, it's much lighter. I would say it's better build quality than the regular 6, but it's not quite as heavy and substantial as the Classic. But aesthetically, I find them both attractive in their own way. They both look good. Now, and again, you can dress this one up and down. This one is a little more refined, a little more genteel. Battery life on both of them has been good. With the Pixel Watch, I honestly find it more consistent. I get a day and a half usage. I can get a day. I can do sleep tracking. I can go into the next morning and maybe partially through even the next day, do some workout tracking. And then, I got to charge it up. So I would say it lasts, but it does last the whole day. It lasts long enough. It's consistent. I've had less consistency with the Watch 6 Classic. Sometimes it lasts as long as the Ultra, the Apple Watch Ultra. I feel it's almost on par with that. Other days, the battery drain, just the wait time battery drain. I leave it, maybe I won't wear it tonight at night for sleep tracking, although I generally like to, or I'll forget to put it on. I'll leave it on the counter there or on my bedside, and the battery will drain and it'll be dead like the next morning. I don't know what drained the battery, but sometimes it just happens. Sometimes I don't necessarily have battery anxiety with this phone. With this watch, but sometimes I feel like, man, I need to top it off. Like, after a day, it doesn't necessarily last until the next day. Other days, I feel like it can go 2 days. Again, it's somewhat inconsistent and I'm not sure why, but some days I feel like it can hang with the Apple Watch Ultra, which for me is like, a 2-day battery. Other days, not so sure. Okay. But this one is more consistent, yet it doesn't have that. It won't necessarily do what this does on a good day. But when this isn't having a good day, it's maybe even a little worse than this sometimes. It honestly depends. And I kind of find that consistency with Samsung devices in general, with the exception of the new phone chip, right? Like the Z Fold 5 and the S23 Ultra, both of those have been very consistent in my experience with battery life. So there's that. But they're both good enough. I'll just put it that way. Now, software-wise, you have Wear OS 4, right? And Wear OS 4 with the UI 5 skin on top. One UI 5 skin on top. You know, it's what it is, right? It's Samsung with the repetitive apps. You have Samsung Pay, you got Google Pay. Here, it's all just clean stock Android. So that's why do you buy a Pixel? Why do you buy a Samsung phone? There's a little bit of that going on. Now, for a phone, I kind of like having more features. However, for a watch, personally, I like simplicity because I'm not trying to be on my watch a whole lot, right? I'm just trying to look at quick things. I'm trying to pay for something. I'm trying to like get a quick text message and respond back. With this, like with the Google Pixel 8 Pro, I can voice text right into it. Everything's clean. It comes out perfect. The voice texting is not quite as consistent. You know, whatever the layover is that Samsung does in terms of the One UI 5, it is what it is, okay? Now, in terms of software, like it's pretty simple, pretty basic stuff, right? You have some options here. The hardware kind of gives you some options. This is, Wear OS, but you swipe over, you got, the different kinds of things you can do. You can do it with the slide, or you can do it with the dial. I'm not really sure. At first, I was kind of like, that dial's pretty cool. But now, having used both of them, I'm not sure how necessary this is. I don't want to say it's a gimmick because I know some folks love this thing. I want y'all to get mad at me. But having used both, I don't necessarily feel as necessary. It does the same thing pretty much as this one does. You pay, tap. You can pay with your Google Pay or Samsung Pay on this. I do find this a little cartoonish. It has a little different functionality. You swipe up from the bottom and you get these cartoonish kind of apps. I guess you can make them into a list if you want. You get your settings here. It's pretty simple stuff. You can go swipe, whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is that you need. You can have, the one thing is you can add a lot more, like apps, like access to apps, whatever you want. You can just kind of put it on there and, it's there for you. So if you don't want to mess with going into the actual apps, you don't need to really even mess with this at all. You can kind of pick the ones you use a lot and then just put them as, like places where you can just kind of navigate to with the phone this way and this way. And like this phone, it doesn't matter. You swipe this way, you can swipe this way. You're going to get to the same stuff eventually. It'll rotate around. It's like a circle, right? In that sense. And it's the same here, right? The Wear OS, and then it's in the bottom. It's, what it is, right? You pull up your apps. So, it's very simple. This, I feel, I don't know why, but it just feels cleaner, right? It's stock Wear OS. You go one way, it's easy. Now, it's small. You go the other way, it's easy, right? And again, you get the same stuff going each way. Swipe down, here's your settings. Swipe up and you got your messages, right? Or whatever little things you got going on with your notifications. That's different, right? Here you swipe up and you get your apps. Here you tap, there's your apps. To me, that looks cleaner. It's sweet, right? It's kind of nice there. Tap twice and you're ready to pay for something. It's not a whole lot of functions here. You just do that, you do the thing, and you're done with it. I like it. I gotta say, I kind of prefer it. Having said that, if you use Bixby and you're into Samsung stuff, then, this is we're not having a conversation anymore. You just do this. But this, based on the consistency of the battery and the simplicity of the OS, I prefer the stock Android on this. Again, on the phone, I might prefer the functionality of the Samsung. But on a simple watch where I'm not messing around too much, I'm not here to be ultra productive. I'm just trying to get stuff quickly done, This does it. Yeah, that's it, right? So, it is what it is. I feel like this is just more intuitive, okay? And again, I don't spend time on the watch. It's just quick things. The simplicity for me with the Wear OS and the stock Android Wear OS is premium. That's what I value here, okay? Now, the other thing that I think is important are the health apps, right? You have more consistency on this side. So, I've pointed out other channels that do the whole of the study on the accuracy of the health apps, the EKG, the ECG, the sleep tracking, all of that stuff. This comes out second only to the Apple Watch on those rigid tests, the ones that actually do the math on it, right? They do the statistics on it. They do it over time. This is going to be a better, more accurate health app, sort of have a better health app functionality. This one's not as consistent, right? The Samsung is not as consistent. So if health apps and the more accurate assessment of the health apps is important to you, then the Pixel Watch, right, is probably something to go. And then you got Fitbit. You know, the Fitbit Premium, you get it for a while, for a little bit, it's for free. It's more accurate, but eventually you got to pay for it. And I think the Fitbit Premium that you got to pay for, that's kind of whack, right? Like $80 a year to get the full functionality of this. If you got it for free, okay, but if you didn't get this for free and you're paying $350, no. And as I mentioned in the review, run out and get this right now while people are selling it when they got the free phones, if that's available to you wherever you're at watching in the world. Go on the secondary market, go get these for $250 brand new, and be happy with it. That's not a bad price. Don't pay, or wait for them on sale, like Black Friday sales or whatever holiday sales coming up. Then go buy this. Don't pay premium. Don't pay full price for this. This one you don't have to pay full price for because you can get an old watch and trade it in and what have you. There's always trading stuff going on with Samsung. But if I'm paying the same price, and now this is more expensive, this feels more premium, okay, in terms of just the weight of it and the sheer feel of it, in that way. If these health apps are good enough and you're okay with maybe not quite, accuracy that's completely on point, but you just kind of want a ballpark figure, then this will be fine. But if you want more accurate, you want Fitbit, you want access to all that good stuff in terms of the software, then this is going to serve you better. Having said that, if I'm on a hike and I'm climbing through the rocks, I'm putting this in some kind of case, okay? Because this is going to get all jacked up. This, I probably would put a little something on it, but, all I need is like a little screen protector. Maybe a little something extra if I really want to protect it, but I don't feel like this needs it as much, okay? So there's that. Now, which one to get? Obviously, if you're all about Pixel, you're all about Samsung, and you just want to do one or the other, and then, pick your phone. Whatever phone you got, go with it. If it's that simple for you. If you use Bixby, if you're in the Samsung ecosystem, we'll go with this one. If it's all about Google for you, go with this one. That's a simple answer, right? If size matters, you can get more size options here. Even the smaller one is bigger than this one. But as I mentioned in the Pixel review, the way this is, designed, I feel like it's easier to swipe even with the big size here because you kind of got to fight with the little bezel here, right? This is easier just because of that kind of teardrop kind of design there, right? It flows nicely right over the side. And I don't feel this watch is as small as it seems when I wear it, as I mentioned in my review of the Pixel Watch, okay? So there's that. But if size matters, right, this is the way to go. If you want smaller is better, then obviously this is fine. If fitness is a priority, then it's the Pixel. Okay. If you prefer a more premium hardware, you can dress up, dress down, have a more rugged watch. It's a little masculine looking, from, just, it seems a little more heavy duty, right? If that's what you want, go for that one, right? It's rugged. This is more genteel and refined. It's more simple. It's nice in its simplicity. They're both aesthetically, I like them both. They each bring their own thing to it. So there's that. If the features matter, like the dial, then okay. Then you go with this, right? Just like you like a Samsung phone with it because it has extra features, you go with this. Although there's not a whole lot of extra features on here because they are using Wear OS, but you have the little dial, right? If the fitness is good enough here, then there's that. If you want the simplistic stock Android, simple OS, you go with that. Me personally, I would pick this because fitness is more important to me tracking. The simplicity of the watch is more important to me. And I'll be really honest with you, after having used them both, I'm surprised. Because going into it, I thought, I'm just getting rid of this thing. I'm gonna be like everybody, a lot of folks. I'm not gonna use this watch. I'm just gonna go ahead and straight sell it without even opening it. But then I said, well, let me try it out. Let me just give it a shot. Because, why not? And I gotta say, and this might be, I don't know how, it might be an audacious statement, but this might be the most improved device of the year that any of the major manufacturers have made. Maybe outside of the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and one could argue for the S23 Ultra as well, in terms of just improvement. Like they refine, but those were more like refinements. This might look the same as the Pixel Watch one, but this is a whole different ballgame. This is like a legit smartwatch now. Last year it was a joke. This thing's come to play. So I got to be honest with you. Even if with a Samsung phone, I probably would just use this watch. And I'm surprised I came to that conclusion. I'm not in any way a big fan of, I love Google devices. I had a Nexus back in the day, but lately I just feel like they're not bringing it. Although I will say the 8 Pro has been impressive, more impressive than the 6 Pro and the 7 Pro were. But this watch, it's legit. It's a legit watch. The only thing I say don't pay full price for is because I don't think the build quality is worth no $350. But if they designed a bigger watch, if they kind of refined this build quality, even made this a little more sturdy, heavy duty, kind of went with the stainless steel instead of this aluminum, this could really start to contend. I even like it better, the Fitbit portion of it, than the Apple fitness tracking. Now, the Apple fitness tracking is more accurate than the Apple Watch, but the actual software for fitness tracking, because they use Fitbit, I prefer this one. So there it is. It's the Galaxy Watch 6 Classic against the Pixel Watch 2. Obviously do your thing, but from my perspective, I gotta say this was more impressive overall. I hope you're well. I hope your family's well. This is getting on a little bit. Take care of yourself and see you next time. Bye.